One. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, David Streggy, and here we are going to be discussing. Well, what movie are we going to be discussing, Brandon, tonight? So, this is Strike Studios. Do you want to be the host for tonight?
Oh, sure. Why not? So, what we're talking about tonight is the third X Strike Studios film, even though it was theoretically their second film.
Why? It was made second?
Yeah, it was made second. It was made before silent horror, and a lot of you probably, I mean, those of you who've seen it can probably understand that. I'm trying to remember the name as it's full. It's like it's P. Rappa's
P. Rappa Ninth Mile Dilemma.
Yes.
P. Rappa's Ninth Mile Dilemma, and it's not spelled with the number 9. It's spelled with NTH.
Yeah, Nth Mile Dilemma, which reminds me of an old comic book where they had a Russian superhero called Nth Man. I don't know why it always does. And of course, it's they call it a raptastic adventure. Directed by Chad Williams, and of course, as I say, done by the X Strike people in 2007. This is kind of an odd homage and combination of the game Parappa the Rappa for PlayStation and the movie 8th Mile, which was by Eminem. Obviously, it's not of the quality of at least one of those.
I would say 8 Mile was by far, like, I would have to say, in that genre of gangster rapping battle movies, that movie tops this one, like, by the power of 20.
So Dave, is this your first time seeing?
This is my first time seeing this movie, but I have owned this film for some time.
So what did you think of it? What's your initial impression?
It's not all bad, but it is mostly crap. So, I mean, there are things that are likable about it, like the car rapping song that I liked for some reason. And I could tell that was the dude that was in River City Rumble that had that big ass bling and was trying to do that Mexican kind of voice or whatnot, but he was failing at it.
Well, very much more River City Rumble than it was silent horror, that's for sure. So, Jake, is this the first time that you've seen this film?
Yes, it was. And full disclosure, I was extraordinarily tired and probably missed parts of toward the end, but I certainly don't remember them well. From what I saw, it was interesting.
Well, this is not my first time watching this. I actually have a story behind it, and it starts with the game. I actually first was exposed to Parappa the Rappa as a demo that came with PlayStation. I can't remember whether it came with PlayStation Magazine, because they gave a lot of demo discs. I mean, that was the fun times back then. It would come with a demo disc. You didn't really download demos like you do now. You get like the demo disc that gave you like 8 games that you could play like the first level or something on. So me and a few friends came to Richmond to hang out. That was one of the things that we did once a summer for a few years. And we had a ball just screwing up on that because it had these scales on there, like you rapping good, you rapping awesome, or you rapping bad, or you rapping awful, depending on what you do. It's a button press thing to where, like they give you like XXY, and then you're supposed to do the same thing in that rhythm. It's that rhythm game, like, and you press XXY to go off of it. And that's how you rap in that. And we had a lot of fun. But we had a lot of fun with that particular game, more making fun of it because it was just so awful in our opinion. Though there is a rather dedicated following to it. And I was surprised when I heard that there was a Parappa the Rappa movie that X Strike did. And I'd already been familiar with X Strike, so I had to get it. And it was much harder to get than it is now. They did a re-release of it that is still, I think, available in their shop. I think that one, and I think they still have River City Rampage on there. They did a rerun of that, but I know that actually, I think most of their stuff is still available on their shop now. But that one doesn't hold up so well. But neither did River City Rumble. I think it holds up a little bit better than that one. But that's not saying anything, really. And because it really is accurate to the game. It covers the songs and the characters pretty much exactly. So if you feel like that one of the characters is a bad stereotype or so on, it's the same is reflected in the game, sadly.
Oh, this particular movie?
Yes. It's very much like the game. They utilized a lot of the songs. They changed around a little bit, but not by much. They changed around the last song to reflect more like an 8th Mile vibe. And they changed around the chief villain, like the rapper dog that he's going against. They changed him around a bit, again, to give it more of an 8th Mile vibe. But that's about all that really changed. And all the weed references that also changed. So we'll go ahead and run through the plot really quickly. I'm just going to run through it in a couple of pieces, and we'll hit the characters as we go. So, of course, we are introduced to our main characters, kind of hanging out and doing their thing, eating. It was that they were in a movie, which was an odd movie of sorts. I can't even remember what it was about. Other than the song. But it's our 4 people. You've got Parappa, you've got the flower girl, you've got the cat girl, and then you've got the other kind of guy who's supposed to be a bear. But he's the one obsessed with food all the time. And of course, they are all talking and just cutting up after all of this stuff happens. And that's when they're kind of confronted with the rapper dog bad guy character who kind of flexes his muscles to try and take the girl, which is, the flower. So we've got our main cast kind of just right there because they're the ones that are the most used throughout the movie. So why don't we just start looking at these characters? Any of the main grouping of the 4 that y'all had anything to say on in particular? I love the picture they draw of the flower girl on the cover of the thing, where it just looks like she is stoned out of her mind.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that's kind of how she looks in the movie, too. She's just staring out the window.
Though not how she is in the game. That is a difference.
Is it?
Though she is a bit spacey, it's not due to drugs.
Oh, she's a different color.
Well, she's a sunflower.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of those weird universes where they're like, sort of like Disney, where you got the different animal and plant-based characters, anthropomorphic. So she's a sunflower. His friend is a bear, and of course the other girl is a cat. And I think that she's the one that best conveys what she is, I think.
Yeah.
Though he does kind of look like Parappa. The main guy. I like that they got the hat right on there, and he does kind of look like that little like dog character. So what did y'all think of Sunny?
Well,
Think of what?
I didn't
The flower character.
Huh.
I didn't really think much of him. That much. To me, I don't know. He just wasn't
Wait, who are we talking about?
the flower character.
The girl.
Yeah.
The
stone
stone
curious.
The blue-haired?
No, the
the
one with the
stoner
big
girl.
ribbons.
Oh,
A bow or whatever.
she had freckles, right?
Yeah, like I said, she's the flower girl. She had like little petals on her head to represent that she's the flower character.
I guess I was okay with her when she was shoving cake down his throat.
Well, better down his throat than anybody else's. It's in cake.
And I was trying to figure out whether she was trying to dope up on something towards the end there, where all of a sudden he calls her and she like, oh my God, he's calling me. Like girls do, because she evidently was trying to stick a needle in her arm, do some drugs or some shit.
Out of the characters, were there any of the characters that you felt stuck out to you as far as the main grouping?
I think the cat kind of stuck out. But that's really it.
She was supposed to have.
I guess Rappa himself.
Yeah, he was supposed to have the strong personality of the group. I mean, one of the lines she has in the game is like, a birthday party without a cake is like me. It's like without a dance floor that has me on it. It just ain't happening. She's just, right there. She's the big party type character. So how about the main villain of this? They kind of made him into more of a... Now, this is one which is very different. They made the villain in the game a kind of like this like rock-jawed superhero type looking character who beats up the bullies that attack them at the restaurant after the movie. And he beats them up in the game by talking them to death. They get so bored they pass out. And he's the one also that has the like super deluxe car, which in the game is like maybe half a mile long. So it makes sense. But did y'all feel like this guy made a good villain? The kind of hefty rapper dog type.
Joe Chan. Is that it?
I don't know. I mean, I'm on the fence on this one because he was just a bad actor. He didn't know how to act. And that's a lot coming from me because I like a lot of bad acting, but that was just bad in general. So to me, even his rapping was like kind of hard to sit through.
I did like how they decided to start it off to show Rappa when he went up against him that he was worthless as a rapper because he was just stumbling over his basic words trying to get anything out.
I mean, I guess at the end he was a little more amusing because of the rap battle thing, because he was trying to talk down to dude, and it just wasn't working. So and the guy that was in charge of the contest, he was like, "This is my main guy," and he comes out and he does his spitting, and it just isn't good at all.
So when they go in through, of course, they have their big confrontation. They see his real pimped out car, which, by the way, was just a random car that had pulled up at the time, and they decide, okay, this will be the car. And he, of course, invites, because the girls say, yeah, the guys need to come along. So, of course, the girls get to sit up front with him, and they have to ride like half a mile behind them in the back, where apparently the back seats of the car are really nasty because the exhaust hits them in the face. They've got it. It's the carbon monoxide poisoning vehicle seats.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he let Parappa know, like, yeah, I am already got my eyes on your girl. And the cat has his eyes on the fan cord, which is what you're hearing when it goes in the background. And I'm going to take her from you. And that sets up our rivalry, where he's got to figure out how to do it. And that just he needs two things. He needs to, one, learn how to rap a little bit better. The restaurant scene in that.
Terrible at rapping. I mean, even Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, he can rap. You know, but
I love the scene at the beginning of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So then it leads us to the first of the masters, the garlic head, essentially, or onion. I can't remember what. Excuse you, cat. You can even see his paw come back down because he's using the screen as his. In any case, that one is the one, by the way, that the demo had. He is a martial arts master. Of course, it looks slightly less racist when it's not a white guy playing him, but he's still a racial stereotype character, where they do the kick punch song.
And his rapping is okay. It's not the greatest, but it's okay. It's mediocre compared to the next guy who is trying to do like a Bob Marley kind of thing, but it's not working.
Yeah, the whole thing, kick punch. It's all in the mind. That's that will stick with me to the day I die, just because how that was when I sat there with my friends, and we would fall over laughing because none of us could keep it up, because the PlayStation 1's timing was always like a tad off. So you always had to learn to go like just 1 or 2 seconds behind the beat. So we just kept laughing. Even without drugs or alcohol, we were just laughing our butts off like, you rapping bad. We just started laughing at each other. Between that and Tony Hawk, we had fun messing up and failing at video games. But of course, the other thing that he finds out is that he needs to be able to drive. So he also has to go and learn from another master, who is the one that can give him his driver's license. And I believe, Dave, you were commenting that you kind of liked that scene.
I did. I did. For some reason, that was the best rap out of the entire thing to me.
They illustrated how you could mess up and freestyle in the game, because if you messed up, then you would do something like, turn to the right, turn to the left. And I don't know, something about that kind of bothered me a little bit, because he was going off to do a drive-by shooting, essentially. And
hold the weapon. It's better if we do a drive-by if you hold the gun.
But that was our second teacher, which helped him there. And of course, he decides to take them for a drive, but it doesn't work out so well for their car, which he has to figure out himself how to get by. And he ends up going to this guy who kind of sells him drugs. It's also very different from the game, because the Jamaican type guy is actually a flea market person, and they use a flea market to make up for the repairs he does to the car in that one. And that leads to sort of a
controversy.
That leads to like that leads to the Jamaican type song that they supposedly did.
It's not really Jamaican.
Yeah, well, obviously. Their attempt at
Their attempt at Jamaican was horrible, but I don't know. I got what they were trying to do, but none of them could rap. Not really.
You rapping bad.
Although I think through the whole thing, I think P. Rappa did actually rap some towards the end, and I guess that's kind of what counts.
We do get there, because it is Sonny's birthday coming up, and he wants to impress this girl, so he needs to get a cake. Unfortunately, he's screwed up to the point where he can't even afford a basic cake. So he has to use what's on hand and use a cooking show where there's this chicken that cooks. And yes, it is a chicken that cooks in the game as well.
That chicken was horrible.
To follow her recipe in order to try and make this perfect cake. And of course, he's jonesing for anything to smoke, so he's trying to smoke some oregano and get something out of that. But he ends up mixing it into this lovely cake with toilet bowl cleanser and yogurt and apparently a mix of oregano. It's it somehow comes out looking like a store-bought cake, which they said was about 2 weeks old when they got to the scene where they ate it. So it was probably almost as hazardous as the cake that he was fixing. But it seems like Parappa was the only one that got like any of the cake.
Yeah.
And the original one was a seafood cake, which was made like a normal cake, with the sugar, flour. No, so it was a sweet cake, but with a bunch of shrimp and stuff in it. Which, I could also see making people a little bit sick. I don't know. Actually, you like shrimp, Jake. What do you think? Would you eat a sweet cake that had shrimp in the icing?
Sweet cake with shrimp icing?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
How about you, Dave? Would you eat a shrimp icing cake?
No.
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 But apparently Parappa got to. Well, he got to eat the toilet bowl cleanser cake that they put
I would not do that.
And things seem to be going okay, and he's able to be alone with Sonny. And then, nature calls, as it would call when you're ingesting poison. And she mistakes his looks of like pain and agony as being really manly. which turns her on, which, by the way, is exactly what happens in the game. So he has to find a bathroom and fast. And she's like, yeah, take me home.
I mean, there are some like things that they did that were game related that I noticed. I mean, they were noticeable to me. So it's not like I didn't get what they were trying to do in between the scenes or while some of the scenes were happening. So I do get what Extract Studios was trying to do in relation to the game. Although I'm not, because I don't know the game. Sounds like a game I would never try. So.
Well, yeah, they even flash little button prompts up above, if you notice, throughout. They'll have like X's or Y's or triangles go by, which is interesting. It's just like, this is his button prompts. And when he goes to the bathroom, he has to fight all the masters over again so that he can have the place in front of the line in order to go. And he manages to utilize all that he's learned from all the masters in order to defeat them all, much like a video game. But unfortunately, after he relieves himself, he no longer looks like he is in pain, and therefore she no longer seems to have interest in him anymore. But they do manage to go to the fun, I can't remember what it was called, fun something. It was like a club. And that is where the final battle began, where he goes against the first challenger and then was able to take him out. And then finally, he faces off against the evil dog in a raptastic, gangsterific battle. And those words are what they use, not mine.
Fantastic rap adventure.
So and that's where things, to me, I felt like the last battle was pretty interesting to watch, but it was also a little bit cringy because one of the things that they felt like it was like, well, they made them think that he was gay and therefore they all hate him now. I will say this. Back in the time of 8th Mile, if you were in one of those, that would have been something that would have turned the crowd against you, yes. But that just goes to show you how far we've come as a society today. But the last battle was interesting. So what did y'all think of the last battle that he fought against? You were probably asleep, if I recall, Jake. You said
I don't remember it.
Yes. So that would be up to you, Dave.
Well, the last battle was cringe-worthy. But it was interesting, especially when they got to the last the last bonus round before round 2 of the bonus round, where all of a sudden they started chanting something of the stone.
Oh yeah, they took the dark crystal thing and they used the trial by stone from the initial battle.
Trial by stone. So each time they rapped, the stone on this pedestal would move that much closer to the other rapper and knock them over. If their rap was so ghetto-tastic.
I have to admit that was a fun little addition. It was wacky and kind of random, but I felt like it fit.
It did kind of fit. It was kind of like Legend of the Hidden Temple kind of thing, you know. So to me, seeing that was kind of cool. So that trial by stone and the driver's license scene were my, I guess, two favorites and the only good scenes in the movie. But
now, where he's doing his little rap, which kind of was to mirror the main rap in Eighth Mile, was where he's like, I gotta believe, or that sort of thing. That was the theme that goes through the entire game. That the game is very childlike in the way that it displays it, and they try to do it a little bit less like that. It is conveyed okay. Like I say, the spirit of the game is conveyed well throughout. Because then, of course, they win. He gets the girl, and they move on. I know that the end of the game, they end up deciding to all go back. I mean, he ends up going on a date with her to a movie, and that's how they end it. But that is the whole of the story in general. Does anyone have one of the masters that they thought was particularly fun? That'd be the martial artist, the chicken, the driving school teacher, and the faux Rastafarian.
The martial artist I liked for some reason. I already liked the master behind the driver's license thing, so that was hands down. He stole the show for this one. So,
I will say this: he looks like such a straight-laced guy, and then he pulls out that gun and says, "We're gonna go do a drive-by." and Rappa's like, "What?" So let's talk about effects. You mentioned Legends of the Hidden Temple, and believe it or not, one of those people did do some work on this.
Really?
Yes, the guy who helped design the big head, for that matter of fact. And you'll notice there is a scene with a giant head that was sculpted by that guy in the background. And also he helped create some of the props. So that's an interesting facet.
Oh, okay. So I was close to the nose on it a little bit.
So for a movie that was made on a very, very low budget.
And it has a connection to the Legend of the Hidden Temples. My God.
So what did you think about the effects?
There weren't that many, were there?
There weren't a lot. There were just basic things.
It's kind of hilarious that as soon as you said very, very low budget, I got kicked out for technical difficulties.
Our low budget show. We're doing this for less money than they paid.
What are you talking about? Low budget? There was no budget.
Exactly. They did have a budget for this.
Any of these films, and to me, I actually think that a little bit of a budget should be put into films. So,
well, you gotta keep in mind, and you and I both watch enough shot on video horror
to know a lot of shit films.
That many of them are done on a shoestring budget, if any. Matter of fact, you did a review on one not too long ago, The Forming, and there was a little bit of a budget, but it could have definitely. And I agree, it probably could have improved with an additional budget.
Yes. Because
there was an idea there, but I felt like the money and the limitations kind of hamstrung it. Here, they really did try to get creative with what they had. Silent horror actually had a little bit of a budget. When I say a little bit, I mean like a little bit. But they did have something. This one, I think, had a couple of hundred to work with. So, a little bit more than what they spent on River City Rumble. but nowhere near as much as what went into our last two films that we'll go over in the future. The one that they did off of Solid Snake, and then the last one, Resident Horror. No, yeah, Resident. Yeah, Resident. Was it Resident Horror? I think it was, yeah. With Robert freaking Lindsay. But so I really feel like this was the last of their not so good films. And they showed some real improvement as time went on. And even here, there was improvement over River City Rumble. You could tell that there's a little bit better in their technique and what they integrated in. It didn't seem as haphazard. And it did kind of feel like the game, and that was the purpose. So with that, of course, the game is all about music, right? So obviously this is a musical. So what did y'all think about the music involved?
Well, some of it sounded like it was similar to that which you'd find on like some video games of the past. Like I swear I swear I heard them using bits and pieces of Duck Hunt and reverbing it a little bit a bit with the puppy sound laughing. Except them using a bit of music that was homemade, so that it sounded like the whack 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 what was in there too, or something like that. It was cringeworthy.
So y'all have seen 3 films from X Strike. I know you've seen more than that, Jake, because I know you've seen Resident Horror, but we'll add that in as we go at the end. So since we are at the halfway point, because we've got 2 films and a show to go, we're definitely through the worst of it, I would say. Looking at that, how would y'all rank these? I'd start with you. How would you rank the 3 that you've seen here?
How would I rank the 3 we've done so far?
Yeah, worst to best.
Worst being
probably River
City Rumble for you.
Yeah, probably River City Rumble, but it's really hard to say for sure. Then these 2 are close. Silent Horror is the easy part because that's a little better.
I actually think that this one was the worst. Silent Horror was mediocre at best, and River City Rumble has been my favorite so far. So.
Interesting there. Yeah, for me, it would probably be Silent Horror would be my favorite, then Rappa, and then River City Rumble. I have a little bit more tied into it because there is still enough nostalgia for the games themselves that they based it off of to help hold me. But we will see. Because our next film that we will be covering on this, which will be in May, is Project Snake. Jake, did you see? I know you saw Resident Horror. Did you see Project Snake?
I did.
So, would you say that that's probably, from just your memory, do you feel like those last 2 were better quality than the others?
From what I remember, yes. I think they were probably the first 2 you showed me.
So they're going to be interesting. Of course, Resident Horror is the sequel to Silent Horror. And they had a couple of ones that unfortunately never made it to Pirates versus Ninja Storytime, which looked like it was going to be entertaining because it was a Pirates versus Ninja movie.
Ninja Storytime.
There'd be a lot of wackiness from that. And Side Quest, which was a Final Fantasy VIII ripoff film. And that one was mired in like just so many things. They put a lot of money into it and it never went anywhere.
Mm.
It reminds me a little bit of a low budget version of Lost in La Mancha. And there's actually a little documentary that they did on on trying to make the film and it not going anywhere. It's just things just were not there for them. And now that they are reviving slightly, they have a little bit more activity. They're starting to try and do some production again. It's interesting to revisit some of their back catalog, and hopefully by the time we are done covering them, maybe, just maybe, we'll start seeing some modern X-Strike releases.
Maybe. I'd like to see what they do in the future. I mean, it is an interesting concept to parody video games. So, I wouldn't mind if they parodied some of my favorites, though. So maybe they could do a Zelda versus Link spin-off or something like that.
Well, they had those things in their thoughts, and their YouTube channel has most of their short films on them, which are kind of fun to watch because they're short, and they have pretty much all of Off Campus on it, which would be the thing we would round up with at the end. Like it's like a 6-episode TV series, and again, decent for what they're doing. They're not really trying to parody a lot. They're just trying to be themselves, and it's just kind of a fun show. So now that we're over the hump, so to speak, here's to hoping Project Snake will be as good as I remembered it was. But as we all know, memory can betray us.
It can, yes.
So as we sign off, before you actually tell the world about yourself, I want each of you to think of a film that you used to really like in the past that you came back to watch and realized my nostalgia betrayed me. So let's start with you, Jake.
A movie that was better left in the past?
Yes.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good question. Trying to think of some.
Or a TV show. You can.
Yeah, I was going to say TV shows might be better. Okay. Well, here's a good example then, because this was one that I revisited 3 or 4, a few years ago. Inspector Gadget. Because it does have one of the most iconic theme songs of all time, and it's kick-ass theme song. And I loved it when I was a kid. But then when I went back and watched it, I was like, he's not just a doofus, he's an arrogant prick who goes around taking all this credit for stuff that his daughter, like this girl and dog are doing. And he does not have he's shameless. He's absolutely shameless about taking the credit. And he's arrogant to boot. And I'm like,
and
this character is awful.
And not to mention, the person that they put in the Disney films of the fucking thing.
I never saw the live action.
Roderick as an actor, and he was just not Inspector Gadget to me. I'm sorry. Guy Smiley from Sesame Street would have been a better Gadget than.
Well, they did have a good voice actor playing Inspector Gadget. I will say that. I mean, you had Agent 86 himself doing.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad show. It's actually a well-made show. I just didn't like it nearly as much when I revisited.
Oh yeah, I mean, there it is. And of course, so tell us about yourself.
Oh, we're doing okay. So, well, I'm Jake. I am often goof around with you guys here on this channel and Inside Movies Galore, as well as I'm on Septum Sin versus the World, and right now we are doing the best we can to do a collaborative project from the safety of our own homes. But it's going. It's going. And the reason I was so damn tired for this one is I'm still trying to figure out, one job where I'm furloughed and one where I've suddenly am full time, and I'm trying to figure out the balance. It's weird. Yeah.
Well, I can say that the show that didn't hold up for me was He-Man, Masters of the Universe. I loved that as a child. I thought it was awesome. I had all the figures and everything. And though the movie still holds up because of nostalgia, and it helps to me, the animated series was awful. I mean, god awful. And it's hard to even watch a number of episodes to this day. I tried to do it and I just can't. So that's a good one where nostalgia probably would have been best leaving it as yes, it was awesome. Okay, we can leave it right there. But I'm Septum Sin of Septum Sin versus the World. We are a physical media channel. And one thing that we're doing as of lately is every Monday night during this whole quarantine business, we are doing live streams. Of course, we invite several of our friends, people that I know and I trust, to go on with. We had a number of good people, and we had such a fun conversation. It went on an hour beyond the time that I was
right.
So, again, we have fun here, and we invite any of you to join us during those times. I monitor the chat, and I try to do my best to add anything that is said in the chat, and encourage, of course, any of the people with us to also monitor to address them as well. We had some good people in there. I mean, somebody mentioned The Platform, which was a really unique film on Netflix. So it was a good conversation. So come join us for the conversation while we are dealing with the isolation. And I hand it back to you.
And my name is David Streggy. I am one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore, as well as Delusions of Grandeur. And I'll probably explain more in the next discussion that we'll be having on Jurassic Park. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to have quite some fun. Enjoy the rest of your evening, morning, wherever you are. Thank you so much.